only way to start your day.
Kevin Osido here with you this morning. Dennis Aseto is in a place called Belém in Brazil, where the Conference of Parties 30, COP30, is taking place. Climate conversations are his breakfast. So that's what he's doing for this week. And that notwithstanding, our conversations continue, and that's what we're doing as we get into it this morning. So even as that happens, we're going to be looking into something that you may not have known existed, but we'll do that in just a bit. Whereas now, I remind you that, you know what, Naivas is 35 years old. You know the supermarket where you're going to be able to go and make a selection based on the things that you see? Well, here it is. Because as you get into the festive season, are you ready to kick off the festive season with Naivas? We need you to do that in Kikwetu style. We're talking about unbeatable deals, flash sales, and deals of the day up to 60%. Imagine 60% off. It's your chance to stock up, gift early, and enjoy value that truly saves you money. Okay, now listen. Naivas is celebrating 35 years of Kikwetu excellence in a big way. Through the Naivas at 35 Kikwetu promotion, they're saying asante to all Kenyans with amazing prizes weekly and monthly. They're giving away 6 cars, 45 motorcycles, actual ones, fridges, cookers, microwaves, and even the iconic Naivas Mbozis. And this time, even chicken to spice up your Christmas. So, the best part? That's not even the best part yet. You could win instantly at the till every day, everywhere. But just make sure you're a Naivas loyalty member. Shop for any amount and you're in. You can become a loyalty member now. You go buy chewing gum for $2.50, you'll get it. So shop, save, and win. Kikwetu style at Naivas Kiloko near you, or even online. Black November, the Kikwetu way, only at Naivas. Naivas saves you money every day. So something for you to remember, and let's get into it proper and celebrate Naivas on Christmas Kikwetu style with Naivas. All right, we're getting into it this morning. Lawi Sultan Jeremani is our guest this hour, and he joins us in the Situation Room. Good morning, Lawi.
Morning, do.
How you doing?
Good.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Good to have you in the Situation Room this morning, and we're getting into conversations necessary for us to have. There's something called the Sovereign Bill.
Sovereign bill.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a minute.
Sure.
But like we do in the Situation Room, we go to a different country every week. African country, that is. Don't ask us how we do it, but we do. And we come back with proverbs from that particular country. And what we'd like you to do today is to interpret the proverb from Guinea. Guinea was originally colonized by the Portuguese, but there were people there before. And they had a thing to say about how you sort out your future. The proverb for today is, to make preparations does not spoil the trip. To make preparations does not spoil the trip. What would you make of that?
To make preparation does not spoil the trip. The benefit of coming in as a second guest is that you get to hear what the first guest had said. So it works. Yeah, it works for the inverse in my case. So I have to interpret it as I think it. My thinking there is that, read it for me again. Let me see if I'll get it.
To make preparations does not spoil the trip.
I interpret it plainly to mean, if I prepare for the trip, then I'm likely to have more joy in the trip.
Yep.
Plainly. Right.
Sometimes simplicity is just the way, isn't it?
True.
Yep. You won't be at a loss if you do. All right, fantastic. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this conversation this morning. The Sovereign Bill. What we need to know about the Sovereign Bill. Let's just start from the very beginning here. What is the Sovereign Bill?
Right. So Sovereign Bill, this is something I came up with sometime in April of this year. And it was a product of listening to what Kenyans are saying, observing what is happening in the society. And I said, probably it's time we came up with different solutions to what bedevils society at the present time. In this regard, then, I said, let me see if I can provide a solution. Not a solution, a proposal for solution. So that we can now explore alternatives to what is the current debate.
Okay.
And when I say current debate, I mean there's a slew of things that have taken place between April and this time.
Okay.
Okay.
For example?
For example. So let me start off here. We asked the question, what is sovereign and what is sovereignty? Sovereignty means different things to different people. And today I came with my phone. And I wish to lift it up
I don't think many people are going to know what that is.
and show you what my phone looks like.
Yeah.
So this is my phone. And many people in
So you don't have a mobile phone, Lavi?
this can be a mobile phone.
Because you carried it, is mobile, you carried it to school.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is a mobile, it's a phone and it's mobile. I came with it.
Okay.
So this is a mobile phone. And I came with it intentionally to say there's a generation today that will look at this phone and say, what is that?
Yeah.
There's a generation today that will look at this phone and say, can I send a text message on it? There's a generation today that will ask, if I was to send a text message via this phone, how would that be? And I'm saying that it is possible to send a text message using this phone, depending on which generation you come from.
Yeah.
Ask someone from JKUAT who was going through engineering and telecommunications, and they'll say, I am able to make this phone send a text message. Ask a generation today that is used to the screen being the dial pad. And they'll wonder, what is this thing that you have to keep on? Yeah. And then you have a generation that will say, if I want to tap a phone, there's something that I do right there. And I'm saying, this is the context in which we are looking at. And I'm using this phone figuratively to say, this is our 1963 Constitution. Our 1963 Constitution essentially says, we had a tool that could serve its purpose. We had a tool that could relay communication, or we could speak to each other using, and that is that, well, this may be too advanced for 1963, but 1963 phone was nearly to that caliber. And I'm saying that this represents the 1963 Constitution. And in the 1963 Constitution, then we had certain limitations, which the 2010 Constitution then came to help us resolve. The 2010 Constitution then made us aware that there are certain things that used to happen previously that are not, could I say, very sound in the current dispensation, although we continue to harbor them. I could cite a few. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this telephone represents 1963 Constitution. So in the 1963 Constitution, for example, we had an instance where the president was, so to speak, above the law. Was not per se, was not directly above the law, but by...
Was the law?
Was the law in a way, we could say that. Or in certain ways, the president had, could I say, usurped the sovereignty of the people. And it then says, with time, we got into that habit of saying the president is everything. What the president says goes. And that's the situation that we found ourselves in. I don't know if I've answered Ndu's question, or we still...
Yes, you have indeed. And now I'm looking at that as a dispensation we had, the colonial system that we took over and tried to use that as our mode of governance. But fast forward, Kenyans came into consensus. It was also a build-up from the late 80s, all the way to 2010 when we finally agreed, let's now migrate from your phone to a smartphone. And we got ourselves a 2010 constitution that says that we, the people, it talks about now the sovereignty. So when you look at what you are agitating for, which is, well, time-bound, because where we are now, the country and everything belongs to the people. How do we marry the sovereign bill with the sovereignty that is highlighted in the Constitution?
Right. You ask a very good question. And one of the first things that I wish to do is, could I say table the bill? And when I table the bill, then I request, sorry, I didn't catch the name, but the gentleman on my left.
Kevin.
Kevin, please, this is the first reading. So in a matter of speaking, we are saying the bill has been tabled. And Kevin is doing the first reading. So you may understand that when a bill is taken to Parliament, after 14 days it's matured, and after those 14 days it goes to the first reading. So what Kevin is doing for us essentially is introducing the bill. So a bill is usually introduced in the first reading, and all you need to do is read the first paragraph.
Yeah. So the Sovereign Bill 2025, a bill for an act of the people of Kenya to provide for the exercise of direct sovereign authority under Article 1 of the Constitution to veto, propose amendments to, or effect changes to the laws of Kenya through public participation, to establish mechanisms for invoking and implementing such authority, including the use of digital, online, and blockchain tools, to supersede the delegated legislature role of Parliament when so exercised, and for connected purposes.
So thank you, Kevin. What Kevin has done for us is introduce the bill. That is procedurally what happens when a bill is presented in Parliament. But this question still lingers, and I'm sure that's where Ndu is. Sovereign bill. What is sovereignty? As I say, sovereignty means different things to different people. So let's try and unpack it very quickly. So historically, let me start from current times. So we've adopted the principle of sovereignty. But the question is, where did this come from? Before we even go to where did it come from, you find that sovereignty of the people is well presented or articulated in Article 1(2) of the Kenyan Constitution. So in Article 1(2) it says that we, the preamble of course says we the people grant ourselves or give ourselves this constitution, and then we take it further and say the people shall exercise the sovereignty directly. Remember, it comes in the first instance, or through delegated through elected representatives. And in that instance, then we say, if the direct sovereignty is the first instance, why is it that we're always using currently the second option, which is the delegated sovereignty? Why have we not tried to use direct sovereignty? And the question is, if we were to try and use it or try to make it practical, how do we even do that in the first instance? That's what I'm saying. The sovereign bill provides us that opportunity to then make this exercise of direct sovereignty possible by introducing the bill to provide the framework for us to exercise that sovereignty.
Okay. In what way? And this is the thing. So usually a bill comes in to either sort out an issue that has some kind of ambiguity around it, or to introduce something that has posed as a problem in society. Right? So what problem is this bill trying to fix?
Right. They're numerous. As I said, in April, I looked at what was happening and I said, how can we fix them? So let me give you a practical example. We have something called the Election Bill 2011. The Election Bill 2011 was passed or was assented in August of 2011. The Election Bill 2011, if you look at the way it was being presented or was tabled, first reading, as Kevin did for us, was done on the 23rd of August 2011. was sent to the departmental committee of the relevant committee to dig further into it. Or procedurally, that's how it's done. Second reading, 24th of August 2011. The bill was then brought back to Parliament, read clause by clause, 25th of August, passed. On the anniversary of the 2010 Constitution promulgation, President Mwai Kibaki signed it into law. How many days are those from the 23rd to the 27th? 4 days. Now, with the public participation being a key question, did we satisfy the requirement for public participation? That is one question. I want to answer your question very directly, Ndu. Election Bill 2011 has something called Clause 45. Clause 45 is where we have the recall of members of Parliament.
Article 104.
Right. But Clause 45 of the Elections Bill 2011 provides very specifically that members or citizens, members of the nation, can recall the member of Parliament using the recall clause.
Yeah.
Now, the recall clause is found in the Elections Act, Elections Bill 2011. Today, people are asking, how can we recall our members of Parliament? And as I said, the discussion in the past has been, why is it becoming impossible for citizens to recall the members of Parliament? Then you get into it and discover the bill that was passed in 2011 did not go through public participation, and then created this big problem that people are having today of being unable to recall the members of Parliament when they wish to do so.
Okay, we may be getting somewhere now. So
Right.
the bill essentially is to create a framework under which clearly members of Parliament can be recalled. No?
So the bill, as Kevin read, says citizens can veto what Parliament does. So if Parliament passes a bill today and citizens say, we do not like that bill, you do not need to go to the courts to have it nullified. Through citizen action, you can directly institute the sovereign bill or invoke the sovereign bill to say, we are going to recall members of Parliament. What does the sovereign bill do in this instance? It provides that you can veto what Parliament has already passed.
But looking at it, Lawi,
Go ahead.
the Parliament is the people, according to the Constitution, because we send the MPs to be the representatives of the people. Would it then be fair to say that the challenge which you are trying to address by bringing the sovereign bill, the challenge is not the lack of vetoing or the citizens pronouncing themselves actively, either through public participation, directly or indirectly. The challenge is the suppression of the current constitution. Because as is, as you rightly put it, and the constitution is very clear, that we, the people, are sovereign. We hold the power. We form a government. Then the government, we have functions. We have the parliament, we have all the other organs. But the parliament is just one point. We also have the bicameral, we have the Senate, where the people are represented. So the people who are in parliament then ought to be the voice of the people. If we followed the constitution to the letter and the spirit of it, would there be need for you to have a challenge as you're having today?
Right.
Do you agree? I mean, in your opinion, do you think that the problem you're having is not that we have a lesser superior or a more inferior constitution? It is we do not practice what the constitution is providing for. What do you think?
I fully concur with what you said. If we had a parliament or legislature that follows, and not only the legislature, including the executive, if we had these arms of government strictly following the constitution, then today we'd not even be talking about is there a need for sovereign bill, because they would be implementing the constitution as intended. Now remember, the Constitution is what we call a social contract.
Yeah.
A social contract is then guided by the general will. How do we feel? Right now we are sitting in a room here and the temperature is just about right. If it went lower than this, people start shivering. If it went higher than this, we'd start sweating. The general will then of us in the room says that we are able to say how we feel. Examples are when polls are undertaken and they say, people say, we do not feel the country is headed in the right direction. That is an expression of general will. Now, how do we translate that into actions or specific actions for various ills that we think have taken place?
How do we?
Sorry?
How do we?
How do we
How do
convert?
we convert the feelings? Because people have felt them, and I see how Kenyans have converted feelings to action.
Right.
People have protested.
Right.
People have gone out in Mandamano. People have gone onto social media. People have expressed their feeling. So what I'm looking for is how this bill is either going to enhance that, or that bill is going to provide a mechanism through which you can express that.
Right. So,
That is going to be followed by members of parliament. Remember that they're the budget-making house.
Right.
I mean, they're the legislature. They're the law-making house. So do we see a situation whereby they are going to make yet another law that guarantees sovereignty of Kenyans
Right.
and allows them to then express how they feel in a manner differently than they already have?
right.
And in addition to that, Lawi, I'm therefore just wondering the space of the judiciary
Okay.
as a mechanism for seeking alternative justice mechanisms and recourse within the Constitution of Kenya, where, for example, if you have issues with a presidential election, you petition not through a sovereign bill or a
Yes.
sovereign act, but through the judicial processes.
Sure.
So what does the bill therefore mean in addition to what Ndu is asking to our judicial processes?
Right. So let me start with what Ndo is asking. How do we translate feelings? So feelings are raw emotions. Feelings are what we may call the reptilian responses. I feel cold, I feel hot, I feel aggrieved, I react. Reactions are human instincts, human nature, but we need to govern them within standards of civilized society. So we're saying to govern them, then we provide a framework or a forum for that expression, for that to be channeled. For that to be channeled in terms of feelings, then we're saying you feel aggrieved by this bill, you can start a process to veto that bill. Now, I turn to what you what you asked, and still following up with what Ndu said. If you recall in the bill, in the opening paragraph, it says this bill is enacted by the people. It is not enacted by Parliament. Essentially, what I'm proposing for the sovereign bill is that this is a bill enacted following the channel of direct sovereignty. And direct sovereignty means then we are not giving the delegated arms the opportunity to enact this bill. The sovereign bill is a supra-legislative initiative, only available to the sovereigns. Parliamentarians can enact laws, not their laws, but they can enact laws. They follow what is in the Constitution, they follow the procedures. The sovereigns, when they opt to exercise the sovereign bill, then they will exercise it using this mechanism that is only available to them, is not available to the parliamentarians. And why do I say this, if you may allow me to finish this point? You look back at when the Constitution came into being, 2005 especially, you will hear conversations that say parliamentarians, 290 of them, led by Simeon Nyachai, chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee, went ahead and said, we want our views as parliamentarians incorporated into the Constitutional Conference.
Yeah.
And that then they created themselves as, could we say, delegates on their own force. They did not go to that conference with a documented evidence that says we have spoken to our constituents and they have said, for my constituent, they want the following incorporated into this discussion. But they came there with the standing that we are parliamentarians, so our views need to be taken as representing the people. But there was, if you look at constitutions, there's the element of a social contract. There was no direct contract.
But with the Nyachais,
citizens.
if I may, Lavi, that was in the old dispensation.
Sure.
Now we have a new dispensation.
Right.
Because we have to be in tandem with the other laws that we have prescribed for ourselves. When you look at the sovereignty bill, isn't it an initiative that would require public participation, as you say, and maybe even lead us to a referendum for it to be effective? And even if that were to be the case, would it be coming to override the Constitution? Will we be attempting to create a superior law than the Constitution?
Okay. Okay. So let me answer that very quickly. So for this bill to come in place, the proposal is that we need to amend the Constitution,
Which requires a referendum.
which requires a referendum, and then we need to amend it. We need to amend it by adding in Article 1(2). We need to add A, 1(2)(a). There shall be a sovereign bill, which Kevin read for us.
Yes.
The first paragraph, what that sovereign bill will be about. And once we have amended the Constitution to have Article 1(2)(a), which says there shall be a sovereign bill, then we'll have the sovereign bill coming in as as under 1(2)(a).
Okay, so who would enact this? And I think we like things to just so that somebody can know what happens. Like right now, we know, for example, the government wants to spend money. Parliament says, yes, go ahead, you can spend up until this amount. You create a law that says 1, 2, 3, kind of like what we see in the cyber crimes bill act just the other day. That is gone. It's discussed in Parliament. We know that as a result of that, 1, 2, 3 can or cannot happen. It's under the courts right now, so we're not quite sure what's going to happen with that. But it's very clear that as a result of this bill that has been raised in Parliament, it has gone through 1, 2, 3, it has passed all of those, and then it has been assented to. It then becomes an act. So we know very well that under this act, 1, 2, 3 is going to happen. I'm struggling. It could be because my coffee hasn't kicked in just yet, but I'm struggling to understand exactly what would happen under this sovereign bill here, right? So members of Parliament, they suggested the other day that you cannot protest around national monuments or around national buildings, Parliament being one of that. If that goes from bill to act, it means that if you are going to protest anywhere aside from Parliament, you see? And then we know that security forces can come and enact such a mechanism should anybody approach Parliament, right? Okay. What you're saying, if I can understand, is that with this sovereign bill, if, for example, a member of Parliament fails to enact their responsibility, duty, and role, that we don't have to go and ask anybody else for further permission. We, as the sovereign, can do what? Go run them out of office? We can go to them one morning and say, you are no longer here? or what are we saying? Practically, and let's just leave all the fluff.
Yes.
Tell us exactly what does this actually say Kenyans can do.
And exactly, just in addition to what Ndo is saying, especially to a citizenry that has been denied the power to recall their leaders, as you also said earlier on, And what the Electoral Management Body says is that there is no law, to give you that sovereign power that you have in Article 1(2) to exercise the power to, eject, quote unquote, someone from office because they are not delivering.
Right.
So how does this bill, therefore, address, for example, recall, in addition to the established governance institutions,
Right.
as Ndu is saying?
So Ndu says let's avoid the fluff. We're going into the details. So maybe the details is where we're getting lost. But very directly, a bill has been passed. It's the Cyber Crimes Act. Citizens feel this bill is punitive.
Okay.
Citizens rise up 1% of the 104. So I'm quoting or paraphrasing what is in the bill that I'm proposing. Citizens from 1,450 wards, 1% of half of them, of half the wards. So that is 725 wards, 1% of that. Sign a petition that says we want to veto that bill, Cyber Crimes Act. 1% signatures, 1% of the.
Why 1%?
That's my proposal. 1%.
Would that be a qualitative sample? Given the scope of now, because they're changing a law that will have implications to the 100%.
Right.
But I'm just trying to understand why 1%.
Sure. So, which number would you give if not 1%?
Well, I look to something to, even our constitution says 25 counties for you to be a presidential candidate.
Fine.
Yeah.
I've taken
something above 30% maybe.
Okay. I've taken that one step to say 1% of half the 1,450 wards. 725 is the number, half.
Yes.
So if we get 1% from that, and they sign a petition that says we want to veto that bill, Cyber Crimes Act, it is then presented for petition nationally. For referendum nationally.
Okay.
But the people who initiate the process
Is
that
the
1%.
Okay.
Now, the majority, of course, at the end of the referendum process, is what will say bill is vetoed.
Okay. So the people who, the people who are vetoing this thing
Right.
are citizens.
Citizens.
On what platform would they veto it? Would they be in a house? Would there be some record? Is there somebody who's saying, okay, yes, this has been counted? Do we employ the IEBC? Who then comes in to say we've collated all of this? We've seen a number of vetoes. Or are you expecting Parliament, who've made the law in the first place, to then be able to come back and say, actually, you know what, the people have said they don't want? Is it the same Parliament that essentially would carry out this exercise?
This is a citizen-led initiative.
Okay.
Totally independent of government institutions.
Okay.
So citizens would meet in the estates, in the villages, in whichever forum that they choose.
How would they collate this? And upon
the-
which platform would this be presented?
Sure, I'm coming to that. So
Okay.
they'll meet our lowest level of representation is the ward. So the citizens will meet at the wards. How will they collect this? So an estate, for example, let me give an example of Kariobangi South. Residents in Kariobangi South will come together and say, block A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we've come together. We want to petition for the recall of this, for the veto of this Cyber Crimes Act bill. Then they would now encourage they would be the initiators of the process.
And then replicate that
And
to
then
other...
they encourage other wards to also participate.
Right.
The idea being you must achieve the 725, 1%,
1%.
and then this can now be taken to a referendum to effect the veto.
On what platform? Led by whom?
Yes, on what platform, led by whom. So we're keeping it very basic. In my bill, I'm proposing blockchain can be used as one avenue. The citizens themselves of the wards can say, we are using books, we are using notebooks, we are using
Online.
paper and pen. Create a list, put a name, identifier, signature. This is what we will now put together as the way we do our petitions today. We get booklets, We sign into them, put our signatures and ID numbers for identifiers, and then send them to IBC. But remember, citizen-led process. So we're not sending to IBC. We are sending to a different institution.
Which is?
In the bill I proposed, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights.
Which also Kenyans are digesting with a pinch of salt. However,
Certainly.
Like, just to stick to your line of thinking, I'm looking at what this would mean, supposing it came to light. And here at the hot seat, we have to have this discussion that it's for public consumption. So you can get the public support that will be required. As you say, this is a public initiative. Hence, these discussions have to be a bit elaborate. Now, I'm looking at it and wondering, isn't that short of forming what you'd call a shadow government, which is also borderline anarchy? Because dissenting voices will always be there, even in good governance. Actually, that is what democracy encourages, that all voices of dissent are listened to and acknowledged. So when we anchor them along what you're saying, wouldn't that be borderline anarchy to an extent, especially given that we are in this growing democratic space? Even what you're practicing now is democracy, agitating for what you feel the people should be doing for us to have a better country. But how do we manage that to make sure that we do not spill over to the lack of the rule of law? Because we could be repealing all the acts and all the laws that we are progressively been making based on saying we, the sovereign people. You remember during the Maandamano, there was a concept that there is no telling on how far this can go. We would have disintegrated a country then, had we not gotten a grip of ourselves. So how well do you feel that this still gives us the safeguards that the Supreme, the Constitution, which is my leader, because I don't want a coup on my leader through the sovereign bill. My leader is the Constitution. How do we balance? How do we find that balance?
Sure. Status quo currently is worried that if you give citizens the power, then the citizens will likely, and when I say status quo, let me be very practical and specific. MPs today do not want to hear anything about a recall because it upsets the power structure. It upsets them because they are already in positions to exercise that delegated power. So that will certainly upset status quo. Status quo being the people who are already in power. And you're saying citizens also have that power, and they cannot be limited in exercising it. Citizens should also be able to wield it. Now, your concern is that this could be a coup. It is not a coup.
On the Constitution.
It is constitutionally sanctioned because you're following the Constitution. You've introduced Section 1(2)(a). You say there shall be a sovereign bill. You have put a sovereign bill, and then you're saying the day a citizen feels aggrieved, they will use that sovereign bill to not only call the member of parliament to account, because today we hear, and it's something that you will also have experienced, one MP, Mbui, will say parliament is captured. You'll hear Otende Omolo go on TV also and say, in another interview, parliament is captured. You'll hear several other members of parliament talk about money exchanges hands in parliament. Now, that is what
they don't resign.
Exactly.
Which is also oxymoronic, it's an oxymoron. But
so there seems to be discontent about the legislature, and then it's thrown up in the air for citizens to wonder now, who do we go to if you yourselves cannot be able to manage this? So to persuade you, we're saying the sovereign bill says this is not a coup, it's constitutionally sanctioned. When effected, it invokes constitutional clauses to effect the veto, to effect the recall, to effect all the descriptors that are present in that bill constitutionally.
I like what you are proposing. The only challenge that I'm struggling with is the legal practicability of this particular process. And I have two questions. One, is there a best case scenario, quote unquote, a country where this has worked? Remember, even our Constitution of Kenya was borrowed from a number of jurisdictions. And then number two, So you're proposing to amend a constitution, rather the Constitution of Kenya 2010, by inserting Article 1 to 2A. But Article 1, which addresses the backbone of sovereignty, and I will read, it says 1:1, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. So that already supersedes any amendments by insertion. Now, let me explain that. What that means is, if you move further to this constitution and you go to, say, chapter 15, you have the different commissions. And you are proposing in the bill that the operationalization, administration, and implementation of this particular act will be anchored in the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Equality, and Human Rights, right? Now, that commission is put in force by Parliament. That commission runs on money that is appropriated by Parliament that we are actually seeking to, give citizens the power to veto, to recall, etc.
Right.
Isn't that a legal paradox? Okay. And therefore, where does that leave the other institutions that are expected to exercise this power? Because remember, yes, we are amending 1:2 by inserting an A.
Right.
But the same 2 says you can either exercise that sovereignty either directly or indirectly, not through necessarily the electoral process, but through the other commissions and other organs of governance. And I asked the question of the judiciary, because currently all petitions are adjudicated by the judiciary.
Right.
All petitions, whether they are, lack of water service delivery, you submit it to a duty bearer, and if they fail to respond, you go to court.
Right.
Where does this bill leave the powers of other institutions, particularly by the kind of amendments that we are proposing in the Constitution?
Right.
Yeah.
So we've dwelt on in your second question for long. I forgot what the first one was, but let me start with the second one. 1:2A. Maybe you could read for us what 1:2 says.
1:2 says the people may
Right.
exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that 2 is where we're saying we're inserting A. There's no. Your first statement was that number 1 precludes the option of addition.
Yes.
It doesn't.
You see, well, we'll be going into constitutionalism. I don't think it will be okay, but
the point I'm
the
making
legal
is,
challenge I have
right.
is that 1:1 gives the Constitution the power,
Yes.
which the bill that you're proposing is seeking to take away. And I'm saying that part of implementing the Constitution, because it's just paper,
Yep.
it has to be given
Life.
Life. Yes.
and that life is given through other organs,
Right.
which the proposals that you're making are seeking to take away. For example, the judiciary. And we are saying that currently our petitions are run through the judicial process. Okay. Yeah. So that's
And maybe allow me
let me answer this-
to
let me answer
expound
this very
as you
quickly.
because the
If you
first
don't
question
mind.
was on best practice, where this has worked.
Let me answer this very
Proceed.
quickly,
Right.
because you said we will be going to constitutionalism, but I think, I submit that it is possible to add to the Constitution. And that's why the option of adding 2A is on the table. Best practices. So best practices as follows. Switzerland, which I believe is Kenya's peer, constitution-wise, because it has the option of exercising direct sovereignty. In Switzerland, you have cantons. Cantons is what I'm borrowing from.
The only difference is that Switzerland actually lives out their constitution.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
And if you do an analysis, you'll find that Switzerland has several clauses that stipulate how the direct sovereignty is exercised. So Switzerland is the peer in this discussion. So Switzerland then has cantons. Cantons is what I'm borrowing from and saying wards. So at ward level, at village level, at estate level, those are your cantons. Those are the ones that then make those decisions, aggregated, and then you have a final determination. So Switzerland is a best practice that we can borrow from. Did I answer you?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
all right.
very
but
well, very well.
Joe, if you allow me, because I see you coming in, remember the context of Kenya is not similar to Switzerland.
Certainly.
I have not heard about abductions in Switzerland.
Right.
And even the Kariobangi South that we're using as an example does not exclude elected leaders from participating as residents.
Right.
So chances that they can be able to, interfere
Right.
with that process are high. The leadership of Kariobangi South that we're using as a case could be abducted. Yeah,
In
they
Kenya.
could be threatened in Kenya. They could be hidden somewhere.
Okay.
And the process would flop.
What you're arguing here
Yes.
is a security element. What I'm presenting is a
that context?
constitutional.
Okay. Now,
I certainly agree that those are the things to be.
Right.
Those are the things people will start worrying about. That when we start having this power exercised directly, we'll get into situations like South Africa where there are political killings and all that.
Yeah.
But you're saying we should not be deterred with trying to exercise that option.
sticking to constitutionalism, which is, I think, is a right direction to take. And I find merit in the proposal of the bill. I'm just trying to look at the practicability, because everything has to be applicable. I'm just wondering, when you look in your research, which organs, which institutions, which commissions would you say have failed? Because as Do alluded earlier, we come in with a proposal to fill a gap. Right? So that we have a better functional country, a better system of governance. Which institutions would you call out today and say, as a result of you not having fulfilled your mandate, this is why I'm coming in with this proposal?
Right. Two, the legislature, both Senate and National Assembly, and the executive. Those are the key targets of this sovereign bill.
These two targets.
Right.
So the poor leadership, basically, is the one that is making it difficult for us to live the Constitution.
Yes.
If we had good governance, if we had good practice of the Constitution, perhaps now we, the sovereign, we, the people, would feel we are doing and participating in how we are.
We would not even need to look at direct sovereignty because everything is working.
Okay.
So in your advice, informed advice to fellow Kenyans, do we amend the Constitution or do we change the leadership and make sure that we have a proper executive and a proper bicameral house?
We enact the sovereign bill. We make the constitutional change by introducing Article 1(2)(a), have sovereign bill anchored in the Constitution, have it as a bill, an enactment by the people. This becomes a tool that sovereigns or the people can wield when they wish to. Away from the legislature, away from the executive.
And now looking at that, supposing we did that, and we wake up tomorrow morning and we have a section 2A in the Constitution, and 2A is oxymoronic.
1(2)(a)
because 2A
says something different.
That's where I want to make sure you get it.
1(2)(a).
Yes.
The aspect of 2A is what was repealed by Moi and propelled us to this democracy. So I think I'm still having hang-ups on 2A.
Article 1(2)(a).
1(2)(a). However, we wake up tomorrow and we have Article 1(2)(a). But we still have William Ruto as the president. We still have this regime doing the things they are doing. We still have this incompetent National Assembly. Does that solve our problem?
Right. It gives the citizens direct power to veto, amend, recall, and all.
But we've been vetoing maandamano. The revolution is about vetoing.
We're expecting the same individuals who currently sit at that legislative body to pass a law which essentially will say that the people can get rid of them. Do you see them passing such a thing?
So here we go. There's precedence. There's precedence to it.
Will not budget, give money to the proposed commission to implement the sovereign bill.
I fully understand your skepticism. That these are
It's
the
a reality here.
It's veto ground.
These are the people you want to give this bill to. If you read the text of the bill once again, you will see that it says this bill is enacted by the people, and there is precedence. Remember the National Accord after 2007-2008 debacle? There was a National Accord negotiated between two, could we say, let's be direct, between PNU and ODM, National Accord, at Serena, agreed by the two parties.
Yes.
Which
And then-
arms of the legislature were there to ensure that it was followed through? Which arm was there? Was there some kind of legal
allow me to-
structure? No, I want this because also our time is running out. But I want to be very clear
Right.
on the legal structure
Yes.
that is going to allow this to be made a reality.
Sure.
That's my question. When ODM and PNU came together
Right.
to form the National Accord. Who or
Right.
what structure was
Did
it
they-
based on
Yes.
for everybody to know that this is now an acceptable
Sure.
process? Who was that?
Sure. It was then ratified by Parliament.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Once we, in the 1,450 wards, make our deliberations and determinations that this is the sovereign bill. We want this sovereign bill in the Constitution. And then we want it as a bill. We present it to the parliamentarians, no dot, no hyphen changed, no as is. Go
and tell them
pass
to
this.
pass it.
Yes.
And we think they're going to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably do. If you allow me, I would wish to request that
In 10 seconds.
Lawi revisits the BBI process, including how the whole matter was, adjudicated. And you probably want to look at the NADCO report as well, and look at the processes that have actually brought in.
I want to dispute the NADCO and I want to dispute the BBI.
I'm just saying,
She said 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a request that you just have a look at them, because there are processes that were people driven. I remember the Super Tuesdays by the county assemblies, and they passed the BBI,
I want to
which
dispute it.
fell.
I want to
Okay.
dispute it this way.
My 10 seconds are now.
NADCO is not people driven. NADCO is two political parties.
It's the same as what
Coming-
you're referring to
coming
as
to us.
2007, ODM and PNU.
And that's what we want to get away from. We're saying this is citizen driven at ward level. Citizens meet at the estates, at the villages, say yes, we want a sovereign bill.
Yeah.
Lawi has shared his thoughts here.
Yeah.
We want to see if we can accept it, amend it, or refine it to what we think ought to be. And then we say, as citizens, we then take it to whoever is our representative and say, go and pass this as is.
So that we
No
can have a
changes.
better country.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So well, it just there of course this continues into a lot more deliberation and interrogation in terms of how it would work, because one would ask, in terms of the implementation of the Constitution until this point, what kind of a pass mark? Constitutionalists have talked about the fact that, the Constitution as it is far from being implemented, so those are questions that we must ask, all in a bid to ensure that the people are sovereign and remain and practice that sovereignty. So those are the conversations that we have. It's a good start, in my opinion, and I think that we can actually get somewhere talking about it more. Lawi Sultan Jeremani is a social consciousness theorist, writer, and author. Has been here with us this morning as we discuss the sovereign bill, putting more power, or rather, making the people claim the power that is already in their hands. Thank you for being here this morning. And a minute past 8. Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for the phone.
That's
and
for you.
Are you leaving the phone for us?
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start